You think being an empath makes you safe. It makes you visible to predators who don't hunt with teeth. They hunt with praise, applause, fake tears, and perfect timing. Narcissists spot you before you speak. They read your silence. They sense the hunger behind your help. You're not just kind. You're vulnerable in disguise. You define yourself by how much you can absorb, but they define you by how fast you can break. You think they're drawn to your light. They're drawn to your blindness, your urge to fix, forgive, forget. You call it intuition. They call it access. From Lacan's mirror stage to Jung's shadow, you are the perfect contradiction. You want truth, but you crave illusion. You want love, but you fear power. So you let them lead, you let them define, until you become the ideal supply, not just a person, a product. They feed on your belief that people can change. They feed on the echo of your father's silence, your mother's guilt, your God complex. They sculpt your reality. Nietzsche said, if you stare into the abyss, they are the abyss, and you're still clapping, still hoping, still offering. They target empaths because empaths flinch from confrontation. You feel every slight, every signal, but never strike. You wait. They don't. Machiavelli would laugh. Mercy without power is submission, and submission is currency to a narcissist. They don't want your love. They want your center, your language, your legends. They love that you call it abuse and stay, that you write poems about your pain, that you craft apologies for their destruction. You narrate their chaos. You give it art. You think you're healing. They think you're entertaining. You think your empathy is a shield. It's a target, painted, polished, strategically placed. Your gifts are predictable. Your wounds are patterned. You repeat. So they rehearse. They rehearse charm, rehearse sorrow, rehearse need. You fall for their tragedy. But they never fall. They rise on your ruins. You let them back in because of the good times. But all times are tactics. They never needed your love. They needed your self-doubt. Jung called it projection. You call it destiny. You saw their potential. They saw your desperation. You love deeply, but you love weakly. Not because you lack strength, but because you refuse to use it. You think forgiveness is holy. They know it's exploitable. Every time you explain your worth, they discount it. Every time you beg for peace, they escalate. And still, you believe because you need to be needed more than you need to be respected. That's why they choose you, because you narrate your own downfall in the language they taught you. You become fluent in their madness and call it growth. You spiritualize the abuse. You romanticize the trauma. You crown yourself the wounded healer, and they become the king. They target empaths because empaths play both victim and savior. You give them mythology. You give them permanence. You give them yourself. This isn't about love. This is about leverage. They strip you of instincts, so you become philosopher. They flood you with confusion, so you seek meaning. They silence you, so you speak louder. About them, they use you to define themselves. And when they leave, you don't just grieve. You rewrite your identity around their absence. You tattoo their chaos on your soul. But here's the fracture. Here's the mirror crack. Empathy without boundary is self-harm with good PR. You want to awaken? Then stop narrating their drama. Start studying your hunger, not your kindness. Your hunger for approval, for clarity, for control masked as compassion. Narcissists don't break you. They excavate you. And when you hit rock bottom, you call it rock bottom. But it was them, mining your identity, until nothing remained. That emptiness is not divine. It's designed by a predator who knew your algorithm. So now, stop being the feast. Be the fire. No more apologies. No more rescue missions. Let them drown in the silence they use to weaponize. Let your kindness burn cold. Let your empathy evolve into strategy. Love without self-erasure. Power without performance. Truth without trauma. That's the version they never expected. That's the version they cannot feed on. That's the version that watches them starve and never flinches